Yes, people, once again, it's the Dex Files. It's yours truly, Mr. Dex. This is the big bad H.FM, and today I have a very special guest in the building. Goes by the name of Raj Kotecha. Raj, you want to give us a quick mic check there, sir?
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. What is this?
All right, sounding lovely, sounding lovely. Thank you very much for taking the time out to join me today, brother.
Yo, Mr. Dex, Raj Kotecha. It's a long time coming, man. I think these conversations have been special when we've had them out and about in the clubs.
Yes.
And you know, in the scene in London. I think it's a great honour to be here. I'm a huge fan of Boss Man, the show, and recently started streaming your shows on Mixcloud as well. So like, you know, it's the pleasure is all mine, I assure you.
Respect, brother. Thank you very much. For those of you who have not come across Raj yet, let me get this right. Founder of creative content agency, DJ and hustler.
All time hustler. Hustler is my one trick pony. Yeah, that's what I do. I'm just out here trying to get it. Kind of full-time creative entrepreneur. Help brands think about what different content they should put on different social media platforms, and all of it was learned in DJing and hip hop culture, and then I was able to translate that into the corporate world, and that's the world I live in today. Okay,
so how long ago were you actually active on the circuit as a DJ? We're talking.
I'm still, you know, it's like what they say, like with those gangster flicks, like you try and get out and they pull you back in.
Right.
Like I can never say that I truly have stopped DJing, but at the moment it comes down to maybe I try and aim for half a dozen gigs a year, maybe 2 more, maybe 2 less, but I try and make the gigs kind of meaningful, or for people who I enjoy being in the presence of. I have a big celebrity gig on Monday with a dude who I respect a lot, and then I've got some gigs coming up next year in Abu Dhabi and different places like that. So I like to go and DJ and perform for communities of people where, you know, it can help expand my network and expand the way that I think. But as far as like DJing on a regular weekly basis, because of the growth of creative content agency, there's only so many hours in the day and night. And I'm not actively DJing as such, but will I ever give up the turntables? No. I look forward to actually going home and playing just for myself now, you know.
Right. What was it that actually was a catalyst for you to move on from DJing into these other areas?
So when I was kind of at the peak of my DJing, which I'd say would be like 05 to 2012, 13, there was a need for me to separate myself from other DJs, and in the daytime I was always working in the media and publishing industry. So that led me to Los Angeles, and when I was in Los Angeles working for a publisher, which back in those days was covering small kind of tech startups like Facebook and MySpace and YouTube as they were then, that went on to become big media companies, I would still then go out in LA and meet people like E40 and David Banner and Collie Buddz and all these different artists, and I just had a camcorder with me, and I would just interview them because I thought it would freak my friends out to be like, look, I had a conversation with E40, who's been our hero for 10, 15 years. I put that on YouTube. That allowed me to get more attention online in the early days of YouTube, which then fed in, it became a positive cycle. It got me more bookings, it got me a bigger fan base, because I wasn't just the DJ who DJ'd, I was the DJ that interviewed the people that he met on YouTube as well. And off the back of that, people that I knew, other entrepreneurs, were like, wow, you know how this whole YouTube thing works, you know how this Facebook thing works, can you use it to help us sell golf clubs, or can you use it to help us sell packaging, or can you use it to help us sell a number of different things? And the principles are the same when it comes to getting attention. And I found that over a period of time, that actually showing people what I know, showing brands what I know about how I built my own brand, created more monetary rewards for me than just being out 3-4 times a week, you know, doing the music thing.
Right, okay. And one of the tools, I think it's fair to say, that you used was a connection with a Wu-Tang mixtape, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so one of the people, you know, shout out to DJ Friction, who's, you know, just done phenomenal things in the West End right now. He was always the one that he was in our crew, you know, he obviously had his own brand as well, but he was always a bit crazy and out there, and he was asked to open for an opening act for the Wu-Tang Clan, AC and Terror, I think it was. And then that night, after the opening act, we went backstage, we met RZA, you know, Ray, and we were booked for 2 nights. So at the end of the first night, he was like, yo man, like I want to do a tape with them. I'm like, are you crazy? This is the Wu-Tang Clan, we can't do a mixtape with them. He was like, no, I really want to do it, like we need an angle. So I was like, okay, well cool, we both love the golden era of hip hop, which everybody knows is the early 90s. And if we have to pitch it to RZA, then, you know, they used to use the metaphor of chamber. That's what their kind of analogy was. So we went back to him the next day and I said, you know, RZA, we want to do this and call it the Golden Chamber. He's like, I'm down. He gave us a drop. We got a drop from all the remaining members that were alive. And that's that. Then we put out the Golden Chamber mixtape. It ended up on Double XL, ended up on Rap Radar early in the day, kind of like 5-star reviews. So shout out to DJ Friction for mixing that. And then in terms of tune selection and co-producing, me and my partner Vic from Love Soul with the Love Soul DJs, we co-produced it, and It was a big smash, yeah. It's just right place, right time, but then also, again, to give Frictionist props, it's about having the gusto to ask, you know.
Right, of course. And what would you say that release like done for you guys, you know, after putting it out? Because I mean, a lot of people do mixtapes, but obviously that was a special in, you know, and I'm sure that there was a lot of traction you probably generated from that.
Yeah, I mean, a few years later I put out the My Ibiza mixtape, and that did well, but that was a solo mixtape, a Raj Kotecha project. It did well, but to a much more narrow audience. I think mixtapes are received depending on the audience you're talking to and the time you are in the world. We put that mixtape out like 08, 09, and so we then went out to LA, and I was on Power 106, and we were actively promoting it, and it did really well for us. It opened up a lot of doors. Would the same mixtape get the same attention today, with Spotify being where it is, Apple Music being where it is, YouTube, Tidal being where it is? I don't know if the mixtape would cut through the same way,
right.
But at that time it certainly got a lot of interest for us, and as well it was a really good quality product. The artwork was great. So if you Google my name, RajKotecha, Raj Kotecha, and type in the Golden Chamber, that will take you to a website where you can go listen to it. And it was great because it was a multimedia mixtape. It was interviews with me and RZA, me and Method Man, videos sliced in with the mixtape. You can see the videos, download the tape. So it was just about rethinking about how you do that whole promotion, you know?
Right, of course. Do you think that mixtapes still have any relevance today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because if music, which is the creation of sound, is evolving, then the curation of sound will also evolve. So whoever's thinking today about putting, you know, Chance the Rapper vocals with the Kanye West instrumentals or anything like that, you know, that's always going to be breaking new ground. And as well, when it comes to relevance, if you only need to influence 70 people, 70 promoters worldwide with that mixtape, then actually having 1,000 downloads or 10,000 downloads doesn't matter. A lot of young hustlers come up to me and be like, yo, Raj, I want to get my Instagram followers up, I want to get my Twitter followers up. And I'm like, how many have you got? And they're like, 700. And I'm like, it's better to have 700 ounces of gold than 10,000 ounces of rice. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's about the audience size that you address. A lot of the corporate companies that I work with now, when we put a video out, 200 hits is a massive success. It's like 200 million for a Gaga in my world, because you're influencing just 200 bankers or 200 hedge fund managers or 200 private equity guys or 200 CEOs. So numbers are out the window, and therefore the format of a mixtape still works, but to expect big numbers, it's not necessarily going to be that useful if that doesn't then map to what your goal is.
Right, okay, so you say that for a lot of us that use social media, our sites might be slightly misaligned in the sense that we're thinking it's about likes, we're thinking it's about shares, and it's not so much the numbers we should be looking at, but is it the right numbers that we should be looking at?
Yes, it's about what those numbers funnel into. So if those 300 or 400 hits funnel into an opportunity, then you've hit your goal, you know what I mean? And I think people are obsessed with numbers, because when people talk about Kim Kardashian having 1 trillion followers, or this person becoming an overnight YouTube success, like your man who's putting out these chicken videos at the moment,
right.
This chicken,
right.
You look at that and you think, okay, well, I want to be involved in that. But for every one guy that does that, there's 1 million that fail. And statistically, you're not going to be the runaway success unless the planets align in your favor that particular week. Like your guy who put out the chicken videos, it was his 6th video that then got caught by a blog that put a funky title on it that made it go viral. So it's all about mapping your behaviors to what it is that your outcome is. You know, your Boss Man show, I now know a whole bunch of agencies. Now you might not have, I don't know how many hits the Boss Man show has, but let's assume it's in the handful of thousands. The people that I know in my world, the VaynerMedias of the world, if we're ever sitting around having coffee saying, oh, they're thinking about a DJ format, I would put them in contact with you.
Right.
And now the fact that you didn't get 20,000 or 30,000 hits doesn't matter, because tomorrow you're sat in front of Gary Vaynerchuk, who's got a check from Kellogg's for you.
Right.
So numbers don't mean anything. The only numbers that matter are the ones that map into your bank account.
Right. Well said. Remember where you heard it here first. We're going to keep chopping up with Raj Kotecha, but for right about now, I want to hit you off with one of those exclusives that I mentioned earlier in the show. Have you heard the new Busta and Swiss Beats?
It's so ill. This is going to be gym music. Like when everyone's hitting that January, I want to lose 20 pounds, this is the record they're going to be playing.
Trust me, this track is titled R featuring Swiss Beats. This is Busta Rhymes. If you've not heard it, clean out the wax.